Should you go into software development? That's the question and the topic of this video today. So what I want to do in this video is I'm going to teach you really four parts to this. One, what is the job market like for going into software development? Are there jobs? Are there not jobs? Two, the skills you need. Because I want to try to match up the right skills with what you have versus what it takes to become a good developer. So that way, as you can make a more informed decision to see, is this something that's right for me, or should I go in a different direction? We're going to go with the pros and the cons of the job. Every job has good things. Every job has bad things. It's going to, again, help you make a more informed decision. And finally, I'm going to have a piece of homework that you could do to really kind of actually get a sense of what it's like and to start get a feel for, is this the kind of career that I want to go into? So let's get started. Very quick, about me. I am a senior software developer. I authored a book about job hunting, resume writing, and interview prepping. If you want that book, we'll get into the contact stuff later. You can contact me. I'll just give it to you for free. Also, my YouTube channel is all about career improvement and career development, so I go into this stuff a lot. I did one on when I used to be a radiology tech that has caught on pretty well. So hopefully this one as well will provide people with a lot of information to help them make a good decision. So let's get started. The first question you want to look at any job you're going into is the job market. Okay? So you want to know, are there jobs for it? There's a lot of things you want to go into and say, oh, that would be fun to do. That'd be great to do. But if there are no jobs, it makes things a lot harder. In fact, that's one of the reasons I left my last career as a radiology tech, because over time, what happened was more and more people got into the career field, and all of a sudden it became harder and harder to get a job. Not impossible, you can still get one, but harder and harder. So let's get into the job outlook stats right here. So this comes from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is the U.S. government, and the recording of this video is 2021. So I'll leave the link to this in the bottom so you can check that every year. If this is a couple years later, you can still check that link and make sure it's accurate. But right now it says they project a 22% growth. So almost a quarter of the industry will grow in the next 10 years. And one of the big reasons for that, and we're going to get into later specialization, but the idea is with smartphones, tablets, we need a lot of software developers, okay? And here's a fun little fact off their website, nothing I made up, off their website. The 2020 median pay for a software developer in the United States was $110,000. Not too shabby. So the other thing that made me even go into this video was I had a buddy who was looking into, in fact, here's my conclusion, he's an entrepreneur, and he was talking to some local business owners about, production and labor and all these things. And they said the biggest thing we need, not the biggest thing, but one of the common threads that they all said is we need developers, right? So for that, that means the job market is wide open. It's explosive. Now, don't let that be the only thing to determine this, because this is a very specialized job, but I want you to know the market is out there and it's good. So let's get into the next thing. So let's get to the skills you need, because we want to match you up to the right career. And in this case, there's some very specific skills. Number one, this is the biggest one. It doesn't matter what language you program in. It doesn't matter if you're making stuff for mobile, websites, desktop applications, if you're just making Windows services that run in the background. You got to be able to problem solve. Because I have been doing this for years now, but every time I have some sort of new task, feature, most likely there's some part of it that I have never looked into before, something I've never done before. And so along the way, I have to be able to problem solve. And it doesn't always have to do with code. Again, I'm saying it doesn't matter what type of code. You could be JavaScript, you could be writing database queries. You got to be able to problem solve, because things pop up. There's always obstacles. There's always challenges. Essentially, the whole career of development is this. You're given a task, you start working on it. You find an error or a problem, you solve it. You move on to the next error or problem, you solve that. You move on to the next one, and eventually, hopefully, you've solved enough problems that your feature works. I mean, that's the whole process. And to piggyback on that, you have to be patient / have a lot of persistence, okay? I cannot tell you in my career the number of days I've spent where I have a task that should be medium to easy that I spend 2-3 hours just trying to get past one error, trying to work through stuff. And you'd say, Chris, that maybe you're not very good at your job. No, there's a lot of complicated things, especially once you start working in cloud environments, and I'm not going to get into details of that. but a lot of people's machines are different. They cause a lot of issues. So you have to be able to be patient and persistent. If you get into something and you get frustrated and you want to give up, this probably isn't the career for you. And finally, you don't have to have super computer knowledge to get started, but you do want to have some computer knowledge to be comfortable with the computer. Because I guarantee you from day one, whether it's an internship or whether you start a new job, people are going to say, you need to set this up, you need to download this up, you need to do this, you need to follow the stock, and you have to be comfortable working with a computer. So if this is something you've never really been comfortable with computers, this probably isn't the career for you, but I'm just throwing that out there now. So conclusion for this, it's a very specific set of skills. Again, computer savvy, persistent, problem solving. If any software developers are watching this, if there's other characteristics or skills or anything you want to throw in there, throw them in the comments, because I want people to be able to make a good decision. Next, let's get into the pros and cons. Every career, no matter how much money you make, no matter how much prestige you have, has pros and cons. So let's get into the pros and cons. Now, as of 2020, especially with COVID, remote work has been up. Personally, I work from home right now through our company, and it's phenomenal. My commute is nothing. I'm able just to hop on my computer, and it also personally de-stresses things a lot, because if there's something that needs to take place at 8 p.m. or on a weekend, instead of having to go in the office, I just hop on my computer and get it taken care of real quick. Remote work is awesome. I haven't fully taken advantage of it for any travel or anything, but overall, I love the fact of being able to do remote work. But a con, and this comes with a lot of big-time jobs, there's stress and deadlines. So one of the ways software development works is you're given a time frame to develop a feature, a piece of software, a website, whatever. And you say, from our estimations, we will complete this in 12 weeks. Well, they break it up into smaller chunks. Some do it in a week, a month, 2 weeks. In that period of time, you need to get things done. And that can cause a lot of stress and deadlines. Or if you've got for example, you've got a website up and customers are using it, and all of a sudden a cloud provider causes an error. Or you find there's a bug in your code. And I know no code has bugs, but say there is a bug. And all of a sudden you have to get on a production server while there are people on there and try to figure out how to solve a problem. That can be very stressful. Now, one thing that's awesome, and I love this about my job, is I have almost complete and total autonomy. I'm given a task to complete or a feature to put out there, and in that time, I work by myself. I figure it out. I do what it takes, and I'm given control essentially to get that done within a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of resources, and that's my job. I love that about it. I don't like being micromanaged, and I think a lot of people who are software engineers really like this part too. But comes with that, you spend a lot of time working alone. I work on a team with, I think like 4 or 5 really awesome people, but essentially what my job is, as I said before, is to get a body of work done in a certain amount of time. Now, there are times I collaborate with people, but overall, I would say at least 80 to 90% of my day is spent working alone. I've got this thing that I need to get done. Again, there are times I ask for help. There are times I help other people. There's times we do pair programming where 2 people get together and we work on the same thing. But overall, almost all the time, it's me just working on my stuff. Now, a great thing, and we touched a little bit about this when I got into the market itself, but specialization is huge. And this is something you're not going to find in a lot of other stuff. So I'll give you an example. My previous career was in radiology tech. Now, I could be a radiology tech in a hospital. I got to take x-rays. I could be a radiology tech in a clinic. I got to take x-rays. I could specialize in surgery. I could specialize in, I'm trying to think if there's another thing I could specialize in. But the idea is every day I'm still taking x-rays. Now, I can do it in a slightly different environment, but I'm taking x-rays. Well, this is so much different. There are parts of this career field where you're working on mobile all the time. There's parts where you're working primarily on cloud. I don't know if you've seen those advertisements for AWS by Azure. There's people who all they do all day long is work in Azure. Or I'm sorry, AWS by Amazon. They spend all day working in AWS. There are people who, they call them DevOps. They just help enable everybody else. They put in automation. They put in all the systems that the code writers can do. Like, there's so many things to do. And once you find your niche, it's great. Or the thing is, you get bored with your niche, a lot of companies will be able to let you move to something else. That's one of the things I love about it. You never get bored in your job. Now, depending on how you interact with people, one of the things that is maybe a challenge of the job is, since you do have a certain type of person that works in programming, not all, but certain, and you can look up plenty of videos about the type of personalities in there, sometimes you spend a lot of time butting heads with people. You have arguments, you have disagreements. And maybe sometimes people aren't the most rational or deal with things the best way. So you will find across interesting personalities. If you're a software engineer and you're watching this, if you want to put any comments about interesting personalities you've come across, that would be awesome. But overall, you're going to have to draw your own conclusion from this. You're going to want to look up a little bit more and do more research. Find some other pros and cons that people have had, because there's a lot to it, and to try to summarize all the pros and cons in like 2 minutes is really hard, but I think I gave you a good list right there. So now, I've given you some information. I presented you with it. It's time for you to do some homework. Some homework so that you can say, is this maybe the right career for me? Because I don't think just watching this video is going to make you change your mind and say you wanted to go into something else and now you're going to go into software engineering. But most likely if you're watching this video, you said, should I go into this or not? And so the homework is, I say you go on YouTube and you do one free tutorial. I would say probably about an hour, something that's easy, web-based. I personally would say if you're going to do it, do a JavaScript tutorial. Because you see on here, I found this on Coder's Eye, and it's got the most common coding languages to date. I don't know how accurate this is, but the one thing I do know that's most accurate is JavaScript. Generally is the most popular because that's what runs in your browser. It helps render a lot of things. And I would advise people, if you were new into software engineering, I'd say learn one backend code. That could be Java, C, Sharp, Python, something like that, and learn JavaScript, because JavaScript is kind of the front end code that you see on so many websites. And I'm not going to get into the details here, but so find yourself a nice JavaScript tutorial, very beginner. The one I recommend is this one is Programming with Mosh. He explains things really easy. He doesn't sponsor the video or anything. I've just done a bunch of his videos, and especially for beginning things, they're great. I'm going to post the link to this in the description, so you can just hop on right over this. If you're interested in this career field, try this out. Everything on there is free. It's been a while since I've done this one. I think you can even just use your browser. If not, you might have to download like one program. That's it. So that's all I got for you. So if you have questions, you're like, Chris, I've got more questions about how to get into software engineering. Should they get into software engineering? Just hit me up. I put my email in the description for this. I put a contact form in there. Just hop on the contact form, fill it out, let me know. I'm on Twitter, and I actually do use my Twitter stuff for a lot of software engineering things. So hop on Twitter. Either I would say just direct message me. It's going to be easy. I'll be happy to get back to you, answer any further questions you have. Or if people keep contacting me with the same questions, I'll see if I can make a video to help answer more people's questions. Let's go through the basic housekeeping, YouTube things. If you like this video, if you found it informative, hopefully I was able to, again, my big goal of this whole thing was to make it so that you could have better information to make a better decision in your careers. Give me a like. If you enjoy this, I produce a lot more videos like this. Go ahead and subscribe. Do share this. That's how things get out there. That's how more people can enjoy this information. And comment. I threw out a couple ideas for comments. If there's other questions you have for this, throw there and comment. All right. I want to say once again, thank you for watching my video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and it's helped you make a better decision. Take care.